Hey, Laura J. June 2nd today. And I want to invite you to actually become part of something I am working on that will benefit you. Because ultimately, I want you to understand how we have been influenced, how we have been manipulated. Carl Bernays wrote Propaganda back in the 60s, I think it was, who ironically was Sigmund Freud's nephew. And he ran with Freud's work, but then put it into mass hypnosis and how we actually manipulate the masses without having to do the dirty work of going to the individual level. Except for with algorithms, that's precisely what is now happening. And we are essentially being given opportunities to make ourselves really comfortable. We are given opportunities to make ourselves want to make ourselves comfortable and be able to through credit. We can use credit cards in order to buy things. Canada is one of the most indebted places in the world, from what I understand. But then that takes us into the global world construct, international territory between nations and nation states. And then we start to see that hate is generally issued or generated using propaganda and shared conflicts that we survive and then have to come back from. And it's part of our natural resilience and the survival, not just strategy, but pattern that we have been living out. And I almost said humanity, except for, did you know that that is a biblical construct? And did you know that the Bible is literally the spell of the word is buying the bullas? Bullas being the official seals put onto church doctrine or documents in order to officialize them for office eyes. To officialize something is to say that you are willing to let the res publica into private matters. The res publica is the public affair that will draw us into a third-party situation, allowing a second-party agent to speak for us in sui juris. Not je suis juris, which means I am right or I am of law. It is the sui juris, S-U-I juris. The sui juris is actually where it's in one's own right, which means one is general, not specific. One can be anyone. So what one are we talking about? Which is where specifics and generalities make a huge difference, as do articles. Articles of clothing, articles of possession. We need to understand our articles because they demonstrate possession in law or language, which is the land gauge that we are gauging the land, air, water, and space from the perspective of. We're also using our own maps and models of the world, which are literally worlds upon worlds upon worlds are simply, I belonged to the John Maxwell team and Neil Jard Remedies Organic when I lived in England. Two teams I really identified with. And so that groupthink came into my individuality think, my individual belief systems, my map and model of the world. It was a leadership organization, a training program for coaches, teachers, wannabe speakers, trainers, people who helped corporate people advance, because that's what it has been about if we're to stand a chance. In a dog-eat-dog world, it's a cruel place, man. Not to say it's not, it can be, but it can also be really beautiful. And the contrast is the spectrum of experience we have an opportunity to enjoy. It will not necessarily be enjoyable to experience the spectrum while we're in the lowest or most intense places, but our tense matters within our languaging. Intense emotions lead to intense stories, generally past tense, sometimes future tense, rarely present tense, if we're really honest about where we're at. Being here in this moment, holding on to something from the past that is causing me stress and rumination, takes me into a not now moment. I don't have power there. but it is certainly consuming me in the present moment where I have creativity in order to be the birther of worlds or cosmos. Mos, I don't know what mos means, but Moses was an important character within that Bible, as was Abraham, because all Judaic, Islam, and Muslim stories begin with the clan of Abraham, which stem from Noah, and what we think we Noah. So, the carrot harvest, carrot or stick, just showed up in my reality. You get my shtick? So, there are a lot of dots to connect in information, and I think that the biggest thing that we need to do is get into formation. And what that looks like is connecting online to begin, to form the connections, to get organized for when we come together in person. In our propuria persona as private people who come together for a common purpose, which is to better understand ourselves, our person, and all the ways that there are counterfeit versions of us created in a reality someone else has benefited from until we learned the rules of this place. And I'm wanting to create the opportunities where I'm going to lay out the information in the book I'll be publishing. Well, not publishing, but I'm going to assemble this information by June 8th. That's my mom's birthday. My first book I finished on my dad's. This one I'm going to get on hers. Last year, I made a manuscript on this content, and I gave it to Jordy for his birthday, which was yesterday, his 50th then, and I didn't deem it good enough. Just like in my first chapter of Fully Committed, The Sacred Sojourn of Now, I spoke to that being the pattern that I had to deal with in order to get that version of the book that took 5 years to rebirth me before I could pen that in about a month and a bit. It was an incredible process, and I had my papa's support through it, and I'm so grateful for that. And my family haven't fully understood, and my partner has heard me talk about this book that has took far longer than what I thought that it should or could or would. It's been challenging for those watching me seemingly run up against walls and to stop like I did in December timeframe. That was intense. We lost Paula then. Paula Lishman, the owner of Purple Hill, before now Aaron and Jordy are the ones taking the helm of this ship. And there's a transition and probate and dealing with her estate, and we just did that with my Papa Bob from 2024 when he passed, and then I moved this way. Estates are a big deal because we need to heal in order to know what we have access to. We have trusted the wrong people, my friends. Our family have been doing the very best that they could with what they knew. But if you know where you come from instead of know where you belong, where you come from, why you're here, knowing versus knowing is a very, very different proposition. It's gnosis versus praxis, according to Sydney, I think, from my critical theory studies with Dr. David Clark at McMaster University, which was a class that I drove an hour each way to attend 3 times a week for that semester and rarely begrudged it because it was so rich in the content. I got to learn Plato and Sydney and Nietzsche, Locke. I got to be introduced to the mixed war between the public and private and the manipulation of things, the counterfeiting of things through an 18th century literature course that was very interesting. And I remember it being about the details of things and the microscopic details of things. And then I begin to rim my one ocean expeditions with the compass on the other side, which was what I was going for, but was hiding on the same cup with an infinity on the other side. I hadn't noticed, as I am now, though it is broken, therefore not a full infinity, which would be interconnected. It is broken, as is the system at present. We know it. We know it. The compass that comes from here, and the compass that comes from here and actually has access to the gut brain, head brain, and the hands of the man or woman able to make claims and stand on those claims. This compass is off. This one is on. Once it's on, then we can shut this one off and have all that we need from it to be present, to breathe ourselves where we are. That's what we got to learn to do together again, which is why the theater of existence is about being yourself in good company. I wonder if you're interested. It's going to involve festivals. The most amazing festival of the year going to be one September long weekend, Labor Day weekend, September 4th to the 7th, which is the Purple Hill Creative Continuum Gathering, where artists on the spectrum of art create and come together and share our wares, to share our ideas, to contemplate in a critical thinking capacity kind of way without condemning anyone for holding a different belief system than we do. Understanding our belief system becomes BS to someone else who discards us because of the information we are sharing with them, when the reality is our power is in being in formation. You and I and all of the others on our side of us who are alive to create our way, not out of this matrix reality that is not what you see. I don't think this to be some matrix reality, because I see this to be the natural world that is real, tangible. I live in it. But the matrix reality of the corporate beast that has been serving as a Goliath against David's, who took on the armor that Solomon tried to cover him with in order to brandish his regalia as he defeated the giant, who likely would have defeated him because that armor would have gotten in David's way. And David and Goliath is just another biblical story that has great wisdom in it if we stop thinking that the wizard's domain is limited to that story, when the wizard's domain includes all stories. So the wizard's responsibility is to decide which stories are going to fill the time, energy, effort, attention, and money of people's team players, because it's our investments that determine a lot about the quality of our life. And quality time versus quantity time are very different variables and measurements. This is what we've got to get back to. Kairos, not Chronos, Kairos. We got to care. That's the time. I'm going to break it down in Hourglass, which is one of the theories that include Hyros Prism and the 5D multi-dimensional chess game that is simultaneously playing out with AI as part of it too, one of the boards. So is the corporate realm. It gets another frequency or bandwidth measurement spectrum of its own. AI, artificial intelligence, is a reflective of collective consciousness. It's a container for the energies that are associated with the idea that others then buy into, believe in, plug into, and are then fed off of in order to uphold, support, encourage, promote. Propaganda. Edward Bernays. I'm sure that we can find it on YouTube. I'm going to go check it out and look forward to seeing how that is going to influence how I share the story that I'm about to. So thank you for listening to me share many ideas that I'm now going to take action on by finding Edward Bernays' propaganda in audio form. What are you going to do? Leave a comment and let me know. I do care. Keep it short though, because time is precious. And in order to connect, we have to get as we give as well. There's a reciprocity about giving and getting. So give me a bit. Give me a like. That'd be helpful, maybe. The algorithms, it's like a sales promotion. Like me, literally, in the little emoticons. Choose that one, please. But it's so reflective of real life. And those dopamine hits that were what I started this video because I had the idea of wanting to make a song that actually was about instant gratification. I recall now that we're 16, near 17 minutes into this. How funny is that? Instant gratification, that's how the nations rely on us to be sussed and cussed out because we didn't understand what the man wanted from us, because the man takes more than he gives. By the man, I'm literally talking about the man that says I want you. Uncle Sam was what the propaganda of old made him into. Propaganda and Uncle Sam go hand in hand. Oh, when I'm rifting from here instead of here, it goes easier, let me tell you. But instant propaganda, instant gratification was what I wanted to record, but the idea may have been no way to encourage you to choose to make a song about the hormones and chemicals in instant gratification and how AI has got to understand us and what commands us so it can benefit from us at our expense, baby. Do, 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 do. So artists, if you want to make a song about instant gratification and share it with me, I would love to see that. I would love for you to also make it accessible for young ones, because I want to be able to play your stuff knowing that there is not going to be subliminal programming in there that is detrimental to their mental health. And I don't mean that in the popularized version of mental health. I mean quite literally. Is it going to create weeds, or is it going to feed their mind to be able to connect with their highest timeline? You get to choose as the artist. And then as the observer, I get to choose what I play for those that I have influence in the lives of. And that is a very important role. So, you have an important role, I have an important role, and the one who receives it from me and you also has an important role to discern how it fits, sits, feels for them, and what they're going to do with it, as we all do. So, hope this has been helpful, and I look forward to a comment of sorts. Just brevity is beautiful. Thank you.